Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Seconds. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland, this is for you.
What's going on, Cavs fans? Welcome to another edition of the Block, the Shot, the Stop, a Cleveland Cavaliers podcast brought to you by the people at Blue Wire Podcast Network. He's Kevin Lynch. I'm Skylar Webker. Tim Daniel is out there somewhere watching the game and getting ready for the Notre Dame game. We're here to talk about Cavs, and particularly the Cavs putting the shellacking on the Phoenix Suns. Kevin, what are your thoughts as you watch it on an iPad in a conference?
Hopefully nobody from work watches this. No, what I said coming into the game, what I thought needed to happen is Donovan Mitchell had to be not only have a good game, but be super aggressive. Because if they're not going to have Mobley, and they didn't have LeVert, they didn't have Okoro, playing that shorthanded, I thought Mitchell would yes, have to have a big game in the sense of points, but mostly would just have to be very aggressive, whether it was scoring, playmaking, just kind of, covering up for some of the deficiencies with the guys out. And that's what happens. Like normally you would look at Mitchell's stat line and think he had to go 33 points obviously is good, but 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 11 for 25 from the floor, it's 44%. You'd be like, yeah, he just took a lot of shots. That's where he scored points. He did what the Cavs needed him to do today, and that was be very aggressive, because if he didn't have a good offensive game, or productive offensive game, they wouldn't have won.
I agree. They said on the broadcast that this is the first time this season that Donovan Mitchell has back-to-back 30-point games. I think he's hearing a lot of the concerns that people are putting out there, because he had those two kind of stinker games, which is unlikely for Donovan Mitchell. So I think he's coming out with aggression, like you said, and looking to silence a lot. The other piece that I've noticed is these guards were in rhythm today. Both Donovan Mitchell, but also Darius Garland. Woo-wee! Darius Garland was making them work today.
He was. Darius was great, and they were both very, very good in the second quarter, particularly early in the second quarter when they started, taking control of the game. Right, I believe it was tied at the end of the first quarter, and then by halftime they had a 13-point lead. They increased it to over 20 by the fourth quarter, but that all started right out of the gate in the third quarter. I remember Merrill hit a three that I think Garland set him up on, and then Mitchell and Garland hit the next 5 or 6 shots in a row. The Cavs made the first 6 shots coming in the second quarter, and that's when they went from a tie game to a double-digit lead and then never looked back. Yeah,
and they also said, do you know what the situation with – I know the Suns are a weird situation. They're so far over the luxury, over the aprons. They can't afford to do anything, but they need to do something. What is their situation with Nurkic?
They're paying a lot of money for a 4th string center. That's pretty much. He was out today with an illness, is what was officially reported. But from what I understand, is basically a production thing. They finally, because he was their highest paid interior player, they played him, for a season and a half, and his production wasn't what they wanted. That's why they went and made the Nick Richards move, which I thought was a really good move for them.
Great move.
And now they've effectively took Nurkic from the starting center to literally the 3rd or 4th string.
Yeah, it sounded like when Brad Daugherty were talking about it, it sounded like the coaching staff is icing him, and kind of the front office is also icing him. It sounded a lot like what they are trying to do with Bradley Beal also. Just weird things going down there in the desert, man. I don't know why you would want to bring Jimmy Butler into that.
Maybe they think it can't get worse. And the Phoenix has had a very, kind of up and down season. I think disappointing season's fair compared to what their expectations were. They had been much better the last 2 to 3 weeks since the start of the year. I think I saw Booker had like 5 games in a row of 30 points coming into this game, which, showed how good a job the Cavs did to hold him to 15 in 32 minutes played. So it seemed like they were starting to turn it around. And that's why I thought maybe between that and the guys that were out for the Cavs, that this game could have been more competitive. But Cavs just, man, they took care of business today. And these last 2 games, they did exactly what you need to do when you lose 2 or 3 games in kind of disappointing fashion, whether it was the Pacers game that you had your worst shooting night of the year, and then the Thunder game where frankly you just got smacked. You just lose. And, but they're responding exactly how you would want them to. Like two wins against 2 playoff teams in the West. Today especially was very emphatic win. And I think any bad taste you have in your mouth after the Thunder game, you can get rid of it now.
Starting to feel better about that Thunder loss. The reason I brought up the whole Nurkic thing is they have a huge hole there in the center of the court, and it showed because Phoenix ended the night with 34 rebounds. The Cavs with 50. I mean, they nearly put 20 extra rebounds on this team.
And that was one of the few notes I took today was like impressive team rebounding, especially with Mobley out. Both LeVert and Okoro are both solid for their position on the boards. So with all those guys out, I mean, Jared Allen had 11 rebounds in 22 minutes. That's where you have to start with it. And most importantly, in the coming out of the second half, when the Cavs really, blew the doors open, Jared Allen had 6 rebounds in the first 4.5 minutes of the third quarter. Like the Suns did not get any second shots. And then 2 or 3 of those were on the offensive end, give them a second opportunity. And then they were able to take a 13-point lead to over 20 and kind of put it on cruise from there. So definitely led by him on the interior, but you look up and down, Tristan Thompson, like
that guy put minutes in today.
Yeah. But he played as many minutes today as he probably has the last month combined. But to his credit, you don't expect a ton from Tristan offensively. You expect it. Your hope is when he does have to play that he can be solid defensively, solid on the backboards, and that's what he was today. And up and down the rest, you see so many guys with like Mitchell contributed 5 rebounds. Wade did. Niang had 6. Jalen Tyson had a really good game. I thought this was one of his best games of the year. He's gotten spot duty as far as like competitive time. Obviously, he's one of the guys that comes in in blowouts and everything. And a lot of the time he's looked like super promising, but also just not quite ready for the role. And had a few bright spots here and there. But I thought today was maybe as much as he is solid of a contribution as he's had in competitive situations this season.
Yeah, he came in and I mean, he kind of was almost like a Ty Jerome. Like he came in, was the spark plug off the bench. He had a sequence where he came down the floor, nailed a 3, came back down the floor on the other end, got a steal. Like just rhythm stuff like that. I mean, and he finished with a 0 on the plus minus. Obviously, a lot of that goes to garbage time minutes and stuff like that. But on the rebounding, before we close out on that, the Cavs had 15 offensive rebounds and the Suns had one offensive rebound the entire game.
Yeah, and that is Jared Allen has the 2 again leads that, but that is a team effort. He's not the only one that got an offensive rebound today by any means. But him in particular, he has the 2 things in spades that you need to be a good offensive rebounder. He's very smart at knowing where to position himself, and he gives incredible effort. And those are, you do those 2 things, you're going, and then you obviously have the size and athleticism that he has. Like you're going to be a really good rebounder, and he's getting to the point where he's in the upper echelons, top 5, 6 rebounders in the league, in my opinion.
So you're saying he's an all-star?
We could go on. I know we'll talk about that, but we can talk about it a little bit now. I'm sure we'll talk about it in other episodes, but I think Jared Allen is an all-star, not only because of his play, but because of the way all-star games broken up, and you have to take X amount of backcourt and X amount of front court players. And in the East, like all of, I don't want to say there is less talent in the front court in the East overall, and some of the key guys have been injured this year. So like if you have to take, I think it's like 6 front court players, I don't know how you can put 6 in front of him.
Right now he's 10th, I think. I should have pulled this up.
I mean, that's just for starting. I don't think he deserves to start. But I don't think he's. But I think has he been a top 6 or 7 big man in the Eastern Conference this year? I think without a doubt. I mean, I think, and so he may get squeezed because they don't want to. It's hard to get 4 guys into the All-Star game. It hasn't happened a lot, but he is definitely deserving.
I mean, I have it up now. The guys that are in front of him, obviously this is fan voting, so a lot of that's skewed. I know that they'll have league voting. Either it's already happened or it's about to happen. But the guys ahead of him are Joel Embiid, who I don't know how you can play as the least amount of games in the league outside of injury and be voted an all-star. Jimmy Butler, who was just get off of a 7-game suspension. Pablo Banchero, who's been out most of the year.
And all of these guys are like all-star players. They're just not all-stars this year for various reasons. Obviously, right. Jimmy's this whole thing. Paolo would be an all-star, except that he got injured and missed most of the season. Like he's incredible. Don't want to take anything away from him. But I was looking at guys that would definitely be in front of him in the front court. Tatum, Giannis, Kat are 3 for sure. I think those are your starters.
Those are the top 3.
It's up to your opinion. You would probably put Mobley in front of Allen. I mean, if you're splitting hairs, so that's 4. But then you start looking around the conference, and it's real hard to find another front court player that is more deserving than Jared Allen, that has all the criterias of, has played enough games, has played at a certain level. I mean, Jared Allen, as great as his production has been this year, maybe his best stat is he's played every single one of these 42 games. And when you can count on someone being there, playing at an exemplary level like he has, and giving great effort the way he always does, like, I mean, those are skills in today's NBA.
No, I agree with you. I think, to me, he's an all-star. I don't like some of the names ahead of him. Not like you said, not because they're not deserving of being an all-star, just the way that their seasons have shaken out this year. I don't think that they would be on this all-star caliber. Or maybe they are, just Jared Allen isn't in the right spot of the fan voting, but that's neither here nor there. If we look at the guards, Donovan Mitchell is sitting at 2nd. Darius Garland is 8th. I kind of am okay with the names ahead of him. Cade Cunningham is putting together a great season. Tyrese Maxey, another good season. Trae Young always has good seasons, even though he's not very fun to watch. Brunson, you could talk me out of Lillard, although Lillard has been pretty good of lately. And then Donovan Mitchell and LaMelo Ball. So the guards feel good.
Sort of. I would dispute a couple. I would definitely dispute LaMelo Ball and above Garland, and we'll get attacked again on YouTube like we did the first time. And I think you definitely, and Garland definitely should be picked over Tyrese Maxey. I love Tyrese Maxey. He has had a little bit of a disappointing year, not just because the Sixers having a disappointing year, but his shooting percentages are really bad. And I think he's a great player. And again, an all-star level player. I just think Darius Garland has performed better this half a season than he has.
Yeah, I haven't watched too many Sixers games, so I just know that he's been like the only thing going over in Philadelphia, because nobody else seems to be able to find the court.
And in fairness, you could make arguments that maybe some of the reason Maxey's numbers, or his efficiency numbers in particular, are down is because he's kind of a one-man show at times with everybody else being MIA. And you can also make the same argument on the other side. Garland's numbers are so good because he's playing on such a talented team. Both those things can be true, but I just think Garland has performed at a higher level this season. And I think when it comes to All-Star, I think winning matters. I'm sorry, All-Star should absolutely be the individual's performance, 100%, but it also should be that how that performance affects their team winning, right?
Yeah.
And so some of Garland and all four of the guys that are potential All-Stars for the Cavs aren't going to have some of the same gaudy stats as their counterparts do, because they all play together and share the ball and have such a strong bench and everything. But also, they have a stat that no one else in the league has, and that's what 36-6.
The best league record.
Yeah,
in the league.
And last time I checked, that's the most important stat in basketball.
I agree with you. I mean, we think back to and I know we always get compared. We're always going to compare this team to that 2016 Warriors team because the style of play is so similar. The records and lighting the league on fire are so similar. I don't know if we'll finish at the same record. I think we only have 3 more losses till we tie them. But that team got 4 All-Star or 3. They only got 3 All-Stars that year. But I don't know. I feel like nobody discredited those All-Stars or said, "Oh, it's because the team is doing so well." So I don't understand why we would get the short end of that stick.
I completely agree. It just so happens that this team has been one of the 2 teams that have been going away as the best teams in the NBA, with obviously the Cavs and the Thunder, right? They've been the best teams in the NBA, and the way their teams are built, they have 4 guys that are somewhere between stars and superstars, and between their play and the team's success have very legitimate arguments, and outside factors such as Paolo Banchero being out the whole season, Joel Embiid being out. Those are 2 open. The way I look at it, it's 2 open spots in the All-Star team that you would have thought would have been accounted for. But they're open because those guys happen to get injured. And luckily, Paolo's back now because I love seeing him play, and hope the same for Embiid. But yeah, I think everything has kind of worked in their favor that they should be rewarded with the 4 All-Star spots.
Yeah. All-Star. I want the All-Star spots. I want the end of season awards. I want the jewelry at the end of the season. I'm still on the wired, man. I called that at the beginning of the year, and it's looking good right now.
It is looking like a good call. And there's a small part of me, just because I'm such a nobody believed in this guy. I'm like, what if they just got 1 All-Star? What if it was just Mitchell and it just pissed them off so that they go 30-2 in the second half or something like that? But anyway, that's all. It would be great to see him honored. The All-Star game is terrible nowadays. I don't even like watching it, but it is just the being recognized as one. But kind of tying it back to the game today, part of the reason this Cavs team is strong, is so strong, and part of the reason that those guys don't have gaudier stats is they've gotten such high-level contributions from the bench. I would say in 80 to 90% of the games this year. There's been a game here and there where they didn't. But today, especially when they're shorthanded, we talked about Mitchell with 33 points. Garland had a 16, almost a quiet 16. They had another 7 guys between 8 and 12 points. Just consistent across the board contributions. And that strength, that is a big reason that the Cavs are so good this regular season, and that getting that level of contribution from the bench shouldn't hurt guys getting awards such as All-Stars and everything if it's all leading to winning.
God, you got my vote for commissioner, man. Outside of All-Stars, we still have a whole lot of there's several guys on this team that should qualify and should participate in the 3-point contest, or I would love to see some Cavs in the dunk contest. I don't know who would outside of kind of the core 4.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who would be the best dunker on the team, unless it's one of the guys that I wouldn't know that Jalen Tyson or Porter is a great dunker or something. I mean, Mitchell kind of used to, but he's talking about having lost some of his hops nowadays and everything. So I don't know if there's anybody, but 3-point shooting, you're right. There are several guys. My guess is it would probably be LeVert, since he's at the top of the statistics for the league, and he's also just a very established player, someone that frankly, like established players usually get picked for that stuff if they want to do it before a rookie or a lesser known guy would. That's what I guess. Or if Garland's an all-star, actually I take it back. Garland would be my pick because I can see him performing incredibly well in a 3-point contest. Not only is he such a great shooter, but he has a very quick, low effort shots, and those usually translate well to competitions.
Yeah, I think Garland would be the pick for the 3-point competition. I would also, if he played more of the year, Max Strus would be a good pick for that. He's really heating up on his 3-point shooting now. So I think those would be my picks for that situation. If we get more extracurriculars than just the All-Stars. Kevin, I don't know if you saw today. I know you're a betting man, but I don't know if you saw from DraftKings that the Cavs are the leading team or the most favored team to land Cam Thomas from Brooklyn.
I have heard that. I'm kind of surprised of that. And again, we don't know what's true and what's not. I'm just surprised. Like, I would be happy because, and we talked a lot about this with Luka from Real Cavs fans. Like, I think he is such a good compliment to the stars on this team. I think he's a guy that is worth kind of staying over the luxury tax and starting the clock on, because we talked about getting under the clock. But if you can get a guy like that and take that swing, yeah, just do it now. I'll sacrifice a year down the road, like 2030 or 2029, for getting that guy now and having him signed under contract for the next couple of years. I'm a little surprised because the Cavs, I'm not sure what they would be giving up to make that happen, or possibly have a third team involved or something. So we'll see. I mean, I think it would be a great move. Kobe Altman can pull it off, but kind of want to, I'm in wait and see mode right now.
It sounds like that from all the reports that I've read, financially, they'll probably have to get a third team involved. And what Brooklyn is asking for is at least 2 first-round picks and some quality players. With like we said with Luka at Real Cavs fans, the thing that people want, that this kind of deadline and everything like that, is they want good quality players with control. It's no longer, I need the 1-year salary dump. That you want the control over it. So in my head, it probably would be Jalen Tyson, because he's got all the control and he's basically a first-round pick because his draft class was pretty weak. And then you probably have to get guys in there like Niang, or obviously the second-round picks. You're burning them. So I think those would be kind of the starting points of a trade.
I agree. And kind of to your point about wanting cost control guys with multiple years in the contract at a really good rate, I almost wonder if they would instead want like an Okoro or a Dean Wade, who are both like signed to below market deals. Dean Wade through next year, Okoro through the year after that. So those are things that they're more enticing than they used to be as far as, assets for the trade markets. But yeah, we'll see. At the very least, it is encouraging to know that they're, turning over every rock, and they're willing to go after, frankly, the hottest guy on the trade markets to whether it works out or not. And I'm sure if they're pursuing him hard, they also are kind of having a plan B and C if they see ways to improve the roster.
I like it, dude. I mean, to me, this team has proved to you that this is a championship team. So I like the idea of pushing the chips in, betting on, like, sure, we'll pay on our luxury tax. We'll maybe cut a year off of what we can do financially in the future, but this is a getting after it. We are going to win move. This isn't kind of what we've seen with Kobe Altman, and to his credit, a build for the future move. He's showing that the future is now. This is it.
Yeah, I agree, and it is, and I think as us as baseball fans know, there's no easier thing to do than build for the future. But the key to building the future is realizing when the future is today, right? And this Cavs team, if we're all being honest, may or may not have thought today was this season. They may have thought it had been another season away. I think everybody had the faith that this team would get to the place where they'd be one of the top 5 teams in the NBA or so. I think some of us thought maybe it would be more, they were another season or two away, particularly with Mobley needing a little bit more time. So he was 22 coming into the season. But I think the Cavs are realizing no, it's now. The future's now. And we need to do everything we can to start putting ourselves in positions to win a championship starting this season.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think everybody thought maybe the Mobley, more development, new coach, new coaching system, that'll take some time. But no, this Cavs team came out guns a-blazing, a 15-game win streak, a 12-game win streak, 6 losses on the season when you're more than halfway through. Best record in the league. Right now, 6.5 games up on Boston. Or they're probably a full 7, but Boston's playing right now. So yeah, this is a letting them know kind of move.
No, I absolutely. And I am fine if the Cavs do their due diligence and they can't make a deal because of financials, or they truly think it is the right deal's not there. Other teams are asking for too much, blah, blah, blah. And they move forward to the postseason with the team they have right now. I'm fine with that because when front office say that, we didn't like the move, we like the guys we have now again, wink, wink at baseball. But a lot of it depends on how much faith you have in your ownership and front office. And I think there's a lot of sports franchises that is very fair to not have faith in their front office and their ownership. I think the Cavs have earned that faith. I mean, Dan Gilbert, say what you want about him, but he has put the resources into the team that they could win every time they had a chance to win, right? And then Kobe Altman has, taking a steady, patient approach to building this winner over the last 5 years and made so many big and small deals that led to a team that is now 36-6 over halfway through the season. So to me, they've earned my faith. I'm going to sit back and see what happens and hope for the best.
This is 2 episodes in a row that we've got talking about Dan Gilbert, because me and Tim talked about it the last game of how he is really a great owner. Outside of the Comic Sans letter, you take that piece out, everything has been great. He's been great to the community. He's instrumental, and he will spend money. He's not shy of that. He wants to win. He gives so much back to the communities, both here in Cleveland and also in Detroit, where the Rocket kind of financial group is headquartered. He's trying to bring the Rockers back. He's a good owner, and that's refreshing.
Yeah, I have no disagreements with you. I mean, as far as ownership of the team, the Comic Sans letter is hilarious. And shout out to Dan Gilbert, because there's probably not a team he wants to win more against than the Phoenix Suns. If anybody doesn't know, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, who became the owner maybe 2 years ago, a guy named Matt Ishbia, and him and Dan Gilbert are rivals professionally and enemies personally. And so my guess is Dan watched today's game and is having a good Martin Luther King Day.
And his birthday is today, I think. So happy birthday, Dan Gilbert.
Yeah, happy birthday, Dan.
So turning the page ahead, we can get into the previews for next game. Going up against the Houston Rockets, who are having a great season. I mean, they're turning their franchise around. I think they're, what are they, 3rd in the West right now?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Second. They're 2nd in the West right now.
Yeah, they've been yo-yoing with Memphis there.
Yeah. Great team. I mean, they've really turned their franchise around because they were in that rebuild for quite some time. But really turn it around. I can't stop saying that. I love kind of the stories like that, or like, obviously Cleveland back in the day, and Detroit this year. Like, I love those kind of up and coming teams. And Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, and Sengun. I haven't seen Sengun in a while.
Yeah. Sengun's a great player. Amon Thompson has been huge for them. They have talent up and down the roster. They are like, it's and Tim and I talked about this a while back. One of the most fun things to do in the NBA is to watch the young team kind of come up and mature and everything. And they're like one of the next ones, because you saw the maturation of the Thunder and the Cavs over the last 3 to 4 seasons, right? Because a lot of the guys on both teams have been around for 3 or 4 years, at least 2, and they keep adding on. And so I think the Rockets are the next one, or at least one of the next one to do that. Like, have a very good year this year. Typically young teams don't do as well in the playoffs, but wouldn't write them off. But then become even better over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the pieces that they have. I love Jeff Green. Steven Adams is still productive for them. Who else is out here? Reed Shepherd has been great this year. God, they have a lot of names I really like.
They are a very deep team, incredibly athletic team. And if we're talking like from a preview standpoint, they have some players, the type of players that give the Cavs troubles, big perimeter wings. Guys like, Tari Eason and Amon Thompson and Jabari Smith and Cam Whitmore is another really good one. And so it'll be interesting to me as far as a preview. That's something I keep my eye on, is that type of player on the opposing team, and do the Cavs make adjustments to be able to stop that type of player? Because when they've lost and when they've struggled against guys, it's always the same profile. It's like it's Pascal Siakam, sorry, like 6'8", athletic, skilled, and the Cavs, they can try and put Mobley. They can put Mobley on him, and Mobley's a great defender, but it also kind of weakens your interior defense to do that. And then, they kind of lack some size with trying to match up with other guys. So anyway, in this matchup, that'll be one of the main things I'll be looking for, is how do the Cavs defend kind of the, 4 or 5 different like big perimeter wings that Houston has that are pretty talented.
Yeah. The ESPN matchup predictor has a 59-51 Rockets, actually, probably because it's a home game for them. But as of right now, they're thinking Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, and Evan Mobley are out, which hopefully is not true. Hopefully those guys do come back and
in fairness, I guess we haven't really talked about this. I'm not as worried. I think the Mobley thing is a minor thing, and by all means, give him a few days off if that's what he needs. Do not need a calf injury getting worse. LeVert was a late scratch today. Tells me he probably just has a little bumper bruise. We probably would have known about it earlier if it was something major. Okoro is the only one that kind of, worries me a little bit, because he's out again because of that same shoulder. I thought he hasn't looked great since he came back, just not very fluid, and was wondering if he's still hurting or not. So as far as all those guys out, I expect LeVert and Mobley, whether they come back next game or another game soon, not too worried about them. I am a little bit worried about Okoro, because when you're out for a long time, you come back and then you miss 2-3 games with the same injury again, just kind of makes me nervous.
Tim T here in our comments, Suns fan here, great win, but he had to turn it off at the fourth quarter. Tim, you're welcome to join our bandwagon.
The more the merrier.
An opposing team or opposing fan came into the comments.
Yeah, Tim. We appreciate it. We try really hard to be very respectful of opponents, the same way the Cavs are. The Cavs are super respectful of all their opponents. It's when the Cavs beat teams they're better than. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, but with a team that they're better in, they win by the appropriate margin. I think that's like almost showing a team respect. When you come in and you play lackadaisical and let a team stick around maybe longer than they should, just based on the talent matchup, I think that's almost more disrespectful. So anyway, yeah, I've long enjoyed watching a whole bunch of different Suns fans teams. I have a few friends in Phoenix. One of my coworkers I was just talking to is from Phoenix and talking about the Suns. So certainly wish them well. They just, got the better of them today, and they still got a few things to figure out to get their season turned around.
I think in the playoffs, I mean, Kevin Durant in the playoffs is so fun to watch. He takes over.
For sure. Yeah, no, they could definitely, when you have two of the best scorers in the league, which they do in Durant and Booker, you can be dangerous in the playoffs. They just need to they haven't had a team gel the way Cleveland has. Like Cleveland, that was the thing that the Cavs have done better than anybody is we've talked about before, a complementary team. Like everybody, whether that's filling in for a guy down or getting scoring from the bench and contributions from the bench, or your stars playing like stars. They just, the totality of their daily effort is enough to win every single game. It's not perfect. Not every guy's not perfect every day by any means, but they have, I always say, contributions up and down the roster. They get a lot of good contributions every game, and it's why they've won almost every game.
No doubt. So hopefully they can keep that rolling going into Houston. But I think from there we can wrap it up. Please, guys, either if you're seeing us on YouTube for the first time or on Facebook, go ahead and give us a like or a sub. That really does help us. Leave comments. We love to interact with people. We reply to all of them. Go subscribe to us on any of your podcast platform of choice. It really, really does help. We love this show. We love getting on here and talking Cavs with you guys. So yeah, I just want to, extend the invitation for everybody to be a part of it. And so with that, he's Kevin Lynch. Tim Daniel is still praying for the Irish. And I'm Skylar Webker. Kevin?
Go Cavs.